Marriage, a journey of intertwining lives, often thrives on the unspoken and the subtle. When my husband Jake and I first got married, the excitement of our new life together masked the underlying challenges. It was only when the daily routine set in that I noticed the strain. We were two individuals struggling to mold into one unit, each with our unique quirks and expectations, which often clashed. The initial signs of trouble were subtle. A short reply, a long silence, a meal eaten without much conversation. These signs, though minor, began to form a pattern. Our conversations grew shorter, our interactions more formal. It felt as if we were slowly drifting apart, confined within the walls of misunderstandings and unmet expectations. This was not the marriage I had envisioned, but I couldn't pinpoint exactly where things were going wrong. It was around this time that my mother-in-law, a woman of few words but profound insight, began to notice these silent screams for help. My mother-in-law, Mrs. Thompson, had always been a keen observer. From the way she would notice the slight limp of a bird in her backyard, to how she could tell it was going to rain just by the smell of the air, her skills of perception were unmatched. When it came to her family, these skills were even more finely tuned. She noticed the tension between Jake and me before we fully acknowledged it ourselves, but instead of pointing it out, she chose a different path. One evening, as I helped her clear the dinner table, she casually mentioned how cooking had always been her way of meditating, of finding peace in the chaos of life. Her words were simple, yet they carried a weight that resonated with me. She spoke of the kitchen as a place of healing, not just for the body, but for the soul. This conversation planted a seed in my mind, though I had not yet grasped its full significance. The following days saw Mrs. Thompson sharing more about her life and marriage, stories filled with challenges overcome by patience and understanding. Each story, subtly woven into our conversations, seemed to highlight the power of silent support and resilience. Her stories were not direct lessons, but reflections, mirrored in the simplicity of everyday life, teaching me more about her and about myself. One afternoon, amidst these growing reflections, Mrs. Thompson invited me to join her in making a family recipe. It was a simple gesture, yet it felt like a bridge being built. As we stood together in her kitchen, surrounded by the comforting smells of herbs and spices, she began to guide me through the steps of the recipe. This was not just about cooking, it was an initiation into a ritual of connection. As we chopped, stirred and tasted, the kitchen became a place free from the pressures of marital expectations. Here, we were just two people, learning from each other. Mrs. Thompson was patient, her guidance gentle and encouraging. With each ingredient added, I felt a layer of tension melt away. The act of cooking together became a metaphor for building a relationship, one small step at a time. This was the beginning of many such sessions. Each cooking day, we explored different recipes, each dish adding not just to my culinary skills, but also to my understanding of patience, adjustment, and the delicate art of blending different flavors. Just as spices blend to create a perfect dish, I realized, so too do people need to blend and adjust to create a harmonious relationship. As the weeks turned into months, the kitchen sessions with Mrs. Thompson evolved into more than just cooking lessons. They became sessions of unlearning the habits that strained my marriage and learning new ways to approach our challenges. Each recipe taught me something about patience, for cooking often requires a slow, steady flame to truly bring out the flavors. I started to apply this to my approach with Jake, giving him time and space to express himself, which in turn opened up more heartfelt conversations between us. Mrs. Thompson shared her wisdom subtly through these lessons. She never directly said what I should do or how I should be, but through her stories and the patience she embodied, I began to see a different way of handling my emotions and expectations. It was a lesson in restraint and understanding, in knowing when to push and when to let things simmer quietly. These sessions also taught me the importance of mutual effort and the beauty of creating something together, be it a meal or a life. I learned the importance of each person's role in a relationship, much like the ingredients in a dish, each adding a unique flavor but essential to the whole. This realization was profound, changing not just how I interacted with Jake, but how I viewed our partnership. With each dish we perfected together, my confidence in my culinary skills grew, but more importantly, so did my confidence in handling my relationship. The kitchen became a place of victories, small but significant. Whether it was mastering the perfect roux or finally getting the seasoning right, each success translated into a broader sense of accomplishment and self-worth. These small wins were not loud or celebratory, but in their quiet way, they were transformative. They taught me that not all victories need to be grand to be impactful. Similarly, in my marriage, it was the small gestures, Jake appreciating a meal I cooked or helping out without being asked, that began to bridge the gaps between us. These were the real victories, silent but powerful. Mrs. Thompson's approach taught me the value of these small successes. She celebrated each little achievement, whether it was in the kitchen or in my personal growth. Her acknowledgement of these small steps was a form of encouragement that kept me motivated, not just to be better in the kitchen, but to be better in my relationship. As the months passed, the bonding over culinary sessions began to reflect in our marriage. The kitchen, which had once been just a room, was now a sanctuary where we found common ground, laughter, and shared goals. Jake began to join in on the sessions occasionally, intrigued by the evident changes in me and the subtle shifts in our home atmosphere. The three of us, working together in the kitchen, became a symbol of our strengthened relationship. Cooking together taught us about collaboration and respect for each other's methods and ideas. It was a practical demonstration of the give and take that is essential in any relationship. This newfound harmony was not confined to the kitchen, but spilled over into other areas of our lives, bringing us closer and making our communication more open and sincere. These sessions, initiated by Mrs. Thompson, were not just about teaching cooking skills, but about fostering understanding and cooperation. The skills I learned in the kitchen, patience, attentiveness, and creativity, became tools I used to rebuild and strengthen my marriage. It was a restoration of harmony, achieved not through direct confrontations, but through shared experiences and silent teachings. Looking back, the transformation in my marriage feels like a quiet revolution, one that took place in the gentle confines of the kitchen. It wasn't marked by dramatic confrontations or big revelations, but by a series of small, quiet changes that collectively transformed our lives. This silent transformation was a testament to the power of subtle support and the impact of shared, meaningful activities in fostering relationships. Mrs. Thompson's wisdom was the catalyst for this change. Her understanding of when to speak and when to let the silence do the talking taught me about the strength in restraint and the wisdom in patience. Through her, I learned that often the most profound changes come not from forceful intervention, but from providing a space for growth and learning. The lessons learned in the kitchen, about cooking, about marriage, and about myself, are now indelibly part of who I am. They remind me daily that the strength of a relationship lies not just in the grand gestures, but in the quiet moments of understanding and shared growth. This experience has reshaped my view on relationships and the subtle yet powerful ways we can support each other through life. The journey that began in a quiet kitchen, led by the silent wisdom of a loving mother-in-law, taught me invaluable lessons in marriage, family, and self-growth. It highlighted the profound impact of non-verbal support and the transformative power of shared experiences. Through cooking, Mrs. Thompson not only saved my marriage but also strengthened the fabric of our family life, weaving a tapestry of love and mutual respect that will guide us for years to come. This story is a tribute to the silent forms of communication and support that often go unnoticed but are vital in nurturing and restoring relationships. It is a reminder that sometimes the most powerful form of help comes not through words, but through the simple act of being present and engaging in activities that bring us together. The kitchen, a place of nourishment, became a place of healing, proving that the heart of the home can indeed be the heart of personal and relational transformation. In every family, there lies the potential for this kind of silent wisdom. It is through embracing these quiet strengths that we can face the challenges of relationships with grace and emerge stronger together. This story, I hope, serves as an inspiration for anyone facing challenges in their relationships. showing that sometimes the answer lies not in what is said, but in what is shared silently, between the lines and over the simmering pots of life.